You just became my next best resource, buddy, for anything AI. Good grief.
Today, we're going to be learning about different use cases that you can use ChatGPT for in your business. There's some deeper levels that we can go to here, depending on how far we get, kind of around the room, how much you guys have used ChatGPT before, kind of get a gauge of everybody's experience level really quick.
Every day, I use it mainly for creative composition. I'm a songwriter. I also use it for a lot of brainstorming, but a lot of songwriting and even script writing and everyday questions, but mainly that.
Just to help with formulas and spreadsheets, so more operationally than anything else, and then obviously random recipes and things of that nature.
I use it just kind of same thing as far as questions go, and then I also use it quite a bit for helping me write things out and making what I've written better, but then I have to go through and correct it so it's not too advanced sounding.
Makes sense. It looks like Jay's been using it to create content for Facebook and Instagram posts for their business. We can go ahead and get started with the first use case that I want to show off, converting quick text to emails. If you wanted to send a quick email, you could type in just like a text what you would want to say. So this is how you would say that you're running late to a meeting, and this is how you do it through a text, but it needs to be a little bit more professional. And so we're going to have it convert this to an email. And for email specifically, ChatGPT tends to make them a little bit too formal. And so we're going to add on that we'd like it to not be too formal. You'll learn that it tends to do things the same way a lot. And if there's a specific way that you want it to do it better next time, you can learn that you can add certain things like this to the prompt and save time instead of having to have a long conversation about what you want. Here we go. Here's a quick email. It's not too formal. It doesn't say, I hope this email finds you well, which is what it always says, and doesn't seem as human as something like this. So that's something that you can use it for all of the time. I use it like this a lot. I don't like writing all of this extra stuff when I'm trying to send a message quickly. And you can see here that I also added a subject. The next use case that we can use it for is spreadsheet equations. So I have a list of 3 numbers and columns A and B. If I wanted column C to be the multiple of both of these, 10 times 2, 5 times 3, I could go to ChatGPT, write a Google Sheets equation to multiply the A and B, and you don't have to spell anything right. You see here, it just created a formula for you that you can plug into your spreadsheet to multiply those rows. These are quick prompts that you can do with just one question. It doesn't take a lot of having a conversation with it. And if these are things that you do regularly, you can learn the different ways to ask the question, the different things that you can add to the question to make it give you a better response. And the way that you can do that is by just type the question that you would ask another human if you were having them do the task for you, and look at the response, see what you would want to do better. And you can add that to your question next time you ask the question. Next, we're going to do a volunteer to write a prompt.
What are we prompting about?
We are going to write a job description.
Yeah, I'll do it. Let's see. Let's do, let's say 1 year of cloud computing. Let's say a college degree. Let's say 5 years IT experience, preferably a master's degree, executive support, a plus, no programming required. Please write a job description including the following things.
You can see here, it looks pretty standard. Includes all the qualifications that you'd like. Manufactured some things here. It came up with some stuff that might not necessarily be true. And it filled in a lot of blanks based on the amount of information that we gave us, which is perfectly fine. We could easily take this, throw it in a Word doc, make the edits that we'd like, and use this on any job recruiting website. So this is already a really good prompt. We can look through this, see some of the stuff that it made up, like the benefits, and you might have to edit a few of these to make it perfect for adding it to the recruiting software, which is fine. But if we do this on a regular basis, we're going to want to have it get those things right the first time. Before we ask it to create a job description for us, we can ask it a few questions first to prepare it better and send it in the right direction to write an even better job description. And so this is what I call pre-prompting. Something that I do a lot when I'm writing new prompts is I always start the conversation with research, company name, in, city, state, and we're just going to send that into the chat. We're going to see that it searches the web. It's going to write a summary of the business. Now that it writes a job description, it's prepared with the information of the business, and so it can make it more personalized and accurate to what the business actually does.
That's good.
If we ask the same question right now, it would write a similar thing that it did. It might include the business name. It might include some more specific skills that someone might need in that role, but we still want to add more to make it even better. And so another thing that I do on almost every prompt, what makes a good job description. And so what this does is ChatGPT is going to answer it and say, here are the big things that make job descriptions really good. And so now it's prepared with not only information about the business, but information about what makes a job description good. Automatically, it's going to be more accurately pertaining to your business, and it's going to produce a better job description because it's going to look back at each of these things and make sure it's doing a good job at each of these things. Based on that information, write a job description for company name with the following information. So you see automatically location, company. It's going to give an overview of both the job and how it connects to the company. You can see that it is more accurate to the actual company that you're asking it to create a job description for. And it's creating a job description based on what makes a good job description. All right, so now that we know about pre-prompting, we can get into another big use case of ChatGPT, which is brainstorming. As a business owner and someone who has a bunch of ideas about what I can do, and it's not always easy for me to spend an entire day writing these ideas down, finding the holes in the ideas and creating plans based off of them, and also see, are they even good ideas? Instead of a prompt where you're asking it to do a task, you can have a conversation with it to have someone to bounce your ideas off of. And so we're going to start it off the same way. If it's not a company name that's commonly used, you don't have to add the city and state to research. So you can just say research that. If it doesn't work the first time, what I generally would say is research McGraw Labor and Landscape in El Dorado Hills, California. That does service. So you're adding onto it to be more specific about research this exact company. Ben, what's an idea that you've had lately?
My giveaway was an idea.
Let's say that the giveaway, and you want to see how you can expand on that working to bring more business to you.
It's just a simple enter to win, $1,000 of free fire prevention, labor, and work. So it's called the Property Protection Giveaway. The goal was to get our name out there a bit, as well as kind of compile a little email list of potential future clients.
Here's some information on the giveaway. It already knows about the business. The goal is brand awareness and building an email list. Worked well. Give me some ideas on how I can scale this or add on to it. We're just going to send that out there. And it's going to give you ideas on how you can expand it. Partnerships with local businesses, social media amplification, tiered prizes, seasonal themes, follow-up campaigns, and content marketing. Any of these jump out to you?
The partnership with local business is something me and my uncle have been discussing a little as kind of a next step to kind of get it out there a little more. So
we like this first one. And so we can just say, let's explore number one. And it's going to give you some steps on how you can implement this. And this is super helpful. It's wanting to lead us into the actual action of the idea. And maybe we're not ready to do that. Maybe we want to still explore some other ideas, make sure the idea is good enough to, put resources into. And so what I always like to say when I'm brainstorming with ChatGPT is, what are some potential problems or struggles I may run into if I implement this, and how could I avoid them? So it's going to lay out some things that you might run into when implementing this. And so now you have some action steps, you have some potential problems you might run into. Let's say you're like, okay, I can deal with all these. I don't really think that's going to happen. I think that this one is something that I can work around if it happens. And you're like, all right, let's do this idea. How can I get started on implementing this? And generally, I like to ask how to get started instead of asking for steps to do it or how to do it. Because when you ask it how to do something, it's going to give you a very vague overview of the steps to do it. And generally you'll have to ask it to go more in depth on the first step. And so I like to ask how I can get started. So it gives me basically the breakdown of the first step for starting an idea. You can treat each of these things like we treated the general idea and say, what are some potential problems I might run into with, initiating contact. It'll let you dive into each step over and over again. You can go as deep as you want on each concept until you feel like you have a well-rounded view of what you want to do and what's going to happen.
It talks to you always like this in bullet points and numbers. And sometimes I just might want to just be having more of a conversation with it. So I'll say respond in paragraphs only, or respond in 5 sentences maximum. Yeah, you can really control how it talks. It doesn't always have to be like this.
I had this long list of 467 members with all of their information, and it was just in a CSV in a spreadsheet file. I would have had to manually go through and make some changes to each way that the document was laid out, because exporting it from the old software didn't work as well as I wanted to. And I was able to upload that CSV to ChatGPT and have it reformat it for me.
That's freaking amazing, dude.
See if I can do a little demo of that. So now I have a CSV and I'll have it show it to you. So here's the sample spreadsheet. And so what I'm going to try to do is we have a first name column, we have a last name column, and we have a phone number column. I want it to give me a full name column and a phone number column and get rid of everything else. So I'm going to edit this really quick and say, reformat this to show me full names and phone numbers.
So obviously it knows how to do the concatenate function in Excel.
Yes. If you have an advanced math problem that you couldn't do inside of a spreadsheet, you could add this to the end of your prompt. Use Python. It solves everything using language, but if you tell it to use Python, it'll use its code machine to solve the math problem for you. And so what you saw here is now we have a full name and phone number CSV. It took the first name, last name, it took the phone number, and now it's in a new spreadsheet. There's a download button up here, and I can download this CSV directly to my computer. And this works for spreadsheets thousands of lines long. When I do this, typically what I'll do is just make sure the number of rows makes sense, just to make sure it did everything right, kept all the information in there. If it came back with something 3 rows long, I would be like, okay, I probably did it wrong. Let me try again. And you can kind of scroll over the data, check a few different fields, and make sure that it looks correct.
So it downloads to your machine, and then you just open it in Excel?
Yep.
Man, that's great.
It's a CSV file. So you could take this and you could upload it in Google Sheets, ask about equations on it. So this truly is a really good assistant for everything that you're going to do inside of spreadsheets.
See if it can do a pie chart or a line chart.
Add total on each row and show me a line chart based on their join date. And there we go. That's business right there. It'll actually let you interact with it, check different points on the graph. It'll also let you download this as a image. It'll do pie charts and other types of charts. You can try that out for yourself as well.
You just became my next best resource, buddy, for anything AI. Good grief.
Obviously, there's a bunch more we could dive into here. I'd love to do another one of these. There's things like custom instructions. You can tell it exactly how you want it to respond to you. There's a bunch of other ways to work the model and make it do the certain things you want. And so what I'll do, I'll plan another one of these.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, really good. Thank you, Carter.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys got something out of this. I really appreciate your time, and I'll let you know when we're going to do another one.